They went down as scientists. They came back as something else. And now, it's learning how to knock on your door.
The missing one, Raul, was the kind of man who liked ritual. He ran diagnostics at the same hour every night, walked the corridors with his hands clasped behind his back, and stared too long at the curved glass of the dome above the hydroponics chamber. People joked about it early in the mission, called it his ghost walk, but on day 14, he didn't show up for his walk. No one laughed about it then. I was the one who found his bunk empty. His sheets were damp. Not just the kind of damp that came from sweat, no. This was something colder, heavier. The pillow was saturated, as though someone had wrung a sponge out into the mattress. And it wasn't just water. When I touched it, a thin layer of something clung to my fingers. Slippery, slightly granular, like seawater mixed with microscopic bone dust. Raul's ID band still hung on the water. His boots were untouched. His tablet sat on his nightstand, screen dark but humming faintly. The timestamp on his last entry read 2:06. It ended mid-sentence. I called the others in. Morozov arrived first. He didn't say anything when he stepped into the bunk. Just stood there in the doorway, jaw flexing. Corinne came next, her face unreadable as always. Hands already gloved, eyes scanning the room like she expected to see blood spatter on the walls. Denis was last, muttering under her breath, swiping through diagnostics on her datapad, as though something in the numbers might keep her grounded. There was no breach, no pressure drop, no suit missing from the racks. Surveillance, of course, failed during that hour. A convenient blackout. 3 hours of static, soft and strangely organic, like bass curling through dark water. It was a noise. It had rhythm. If you listened long enough, you started to hear patterns in it. Breathing, a pulse, words maybe. The audio feed hadn't failed though. At 2:13, 4 sharp sounds came through. Knock, 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 knock. 2. Slow to be mechanical. 2 deliberate, like someone tapping flesh to metal cartilage against carbon steel. No one said anything after we listened to it the first time. There was a pressure in the room, like the walls were drawing closer together. It's ridiculous, thinking about it now, that we each took a step away from the speakers at the same time. Later, I traced water droplets leading away from Raul's room. They weren't dripping, they'd been placed. A wet path curving down the hallway in gentle arcs, evaporating slowly in the artificial atmosphere. I followed them all the way to the central corridor and stopped cold. There were footprints, long, narrow, each toe distinct, 3 of them, splayed slightly, with webbing between. The prints shimmered faintly with a translucent residue, and they didn't match any known boot or scanning tag. Not even human. They ended just outside the airlock, but the logs showed no activation, no pressure cycle. Nothing had gone in or out. I ran gloved fingers along one of the prints, half hoping it would vanish under touch. It didn't. The texture was strange, too soft to be left by weight, too rigid to be a smear. It had edges, deliberate ones. I felt cold trickle up through my bones. Something had walked there, something that left behind the memory of motion without making a sound. I didn't sleep the night. No one did. The second knock came at 03:41. We were all in the command room. No one dared leave, not even to piss. Corinne sat at the center console, eyes on every monitor at once. Denis hovered by the sonar readings, muttering quietly and tapping her leg against the floor like a metronome. Morozov cleaned his glasses so many times the lenses filled with grease. When the sound came again, it was louder. This time, it moved. Knock. From the eastern pressure wall. Knock. Toward the hydroponics dome. Knock. Above the sleeping quarters. Knock. Directly beneath our feet. IT tracked a path around the station, circling, listening, maybe learning. I stared at the floor until my eyes burned, half expecting something to reach through the steel. Corinne called for a sweep. Standard protocols. All external hatches sealed. No vibration alerts. No shifts in mass or structure. But she still sent a drone. Small one. Fast. We watched the live feed together, shoulder to shoulder, like children gathered around a dying fire. The darkness outside the station wasn't just black, it was layered. Depth without light, density without shape. Then it moved at a T first, just a ripple in the silt cloud. Then a figure. Raul. He stood on the ocean floor 40 meters beneath us, arms slack at his sides, face turned upward. His mouth was gone. Smooth skin covered the lower half of his face, stretched taut like wax melted and cooled in a rush. His chest pulsed with pale bioluminescent veins that flickered in rhythm with the sonar. He lifted one hand, touched the drone's camera lens. Knock. Then his body burst into a cloud of plankton and tiny pale worms. scattering like foam into the void. Then he screamed and powered of the drone feed. The image burned into my retinas, still there when I blinked. Raul's hand reaching out, asking for something, or warning us, or inviting us down. The next day, the voices began. Not real voices, not. At first, just shapes in the mind, sounds that filled the silence. They came when no one else was talking, when sleep started to loosen the body and logic began to slip. I heard my own voice whispering from inside the walls. It wasn't speaking English, not even a language I recognized, but the meaning crawled inside the brain like oil slipped through cracks, words without sound, memory without experience. Morozov went first. He said the station had stopped echoing his footsteps, that it had started anticipating them, that he could feel the whole breathing. He walked with his hands trembling and his eyes darting to corners where nothing lived. When he opened his mouth, seawater dripped from his tongue, salty and cold. We put him in isolation. He didn't fight it. He smiled as the door sealed, reached up and drew a spiral on the glass with the water from his lips. Near collapsed 12 hours later, just dropped mid-sentence during a systems check. Her heart was fine, her brain wasn't. The scanner showed activity in parts of the brain humans don't use, shouldn't use, areas linked to prenatal development. And beneath that, patterns, rhythmic pulses in the cerebral cortex that matched the sonar bursts from beneath the ice shell. She woke once, hours later, stared at the ceiling and said, "It knows your names." Then she bit off the tip of her tongue. Corinne didn't speak for a long time after that. She just paced, watching the pressure monitors and oxygen filters like they were going to spell something out. Something she could reason with. She didn't believe in ghosts. She didn't believe in madness. But there was something under the floor that made her believe in old gods. She started wearing her Eva suit inside the station. The water came next, from the drains, from the walls, from the vents. Small beads forming on the steel, perfectly still, not sliding, not evaporating. They pulsed, just slightly, like something breathing very slowly through the pipes. When touched, they didn't burst, they clung, they multiplied. I stopped touching them. The station started to stink of salt and rust. Our food stores spoiled overnight. Corinne tried to call Earth. The signal went out. Nothing came back. Not static, not denial, just silence. And beneath that silence, the knock. Not from outside anymore, from inside. Walls, floors, pipes, soft and slow. Knock, 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 knock. And always 4. I think about the number. Why 4? 4 limbs, 4 chambers in the heart, 4 points on a compass. Maybe it's trying to orient us. Maybe it's trying to count down on the 21st day. I found Rod again, not in the water, not outside. He was in the observatory or something wearing him. The shape sat with its back to me, head tilted toward the glass, as if watching something in the deep that I couldn't see. Its skin was wrong, smooth and glassy, like the inside of a fish's mouth. Gills fluttered along its spine. Its hands were webbed and folded gently in its lap. When I stepped closer, it spoke in his voice. I remember drowning, it said. I didn't respond. Put in single quotes to dot it turned its head. No eyes, just black bits where the face had collapsed inward. I didn't die, it said. I changed. Then it faded, melted into a pool of brine and translucent tissue, seeping into the metal grating. I haven't told the others. I don't think I can. I'm not sure how many of us are left anymore. The knocks keep coming, for each type. They come at night now. Not because they have to, because they know we're listening. And beneath the knocks, I hear the voice again, my voice, from the water, whispering a word I didn't learn but understand with every cell of my body. Home. This video will be taken down. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell before it's gone forever.